I think because it's a presentation and today we're doing all slideshows and presentations, she didn't need to be in for that part because it's going to be, she should have been in for the questions, though, right, Jen?
Yeah, I can make it.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that I think it's necessary, but
Good point.
any of it.
Okay, well, good morning. Welcome to the budget presentations for today. As mentioned, today's presentations, or the next 3 days, sorry, will be today's budget introductions and department overviews. Tomorrow we have the capital budget presentations, and on Wednesday we'll have the operating budget presentations with budget discussions and some council direction moving forward to our next meeting. So the presentations today will be from senior management and supervisors. So we'll have a council and CAO presentation by Anne, municipal services department by each of the supervisors, corporate services and community services will all take place today. That's just kind of a quick intro as far as the program for today goes. So we'll start with Anne and council's.
Good morning. So, County Council is made up of 7 divisions, and council gets elected from each division, and then yearly at the organizational meeting, they choose a reeve and a deputy reeve. So there are the 7 of you up on the County Council from each division.
One nice picture.
You want to go back and look at that? That's a nice picture, yes. You've seen it before? So under the MGA, the purpose of a municipality through council and the council decisions is to provide good government, to provide service facilities or other things that in the opinion of council are necessary or desirable for all or part of the municipality, and to develop a safe and viable community. Now you might be saying, what do you mean by good governance? What is good governance? It's about respecting each other's roles, settling on a common vision, and consensus building through strategic planning. When I talk about setting a vision, basically it's what do you as council see your community? What are your community's strengths and what do you want to build on? Council's roles are to develop and evaluate policies and programs of the municipality, to make sure the powers, duties, and function of the municipality are appropriately carried out, carrying out the powers, duties, and function expressly given to them under this or any other act. Why do we do strategic planning and what does that mean? Strategic planning is an opportunity for council to sit down with staff and talk about how they see the county moving forward and what is the vision. The strategic planning is a living document and it's an organizational management activity that's used to set priorities, focus energy and resources, and that ensure that employees and stakeholders are working towards a common goal, and they establish an agreement around intended outcomes and results and assets of the organization. It's a fluid document to the strategic planning. It's very fluid and it needs to be changed and updated, and that's why we do strategic planning sessions yearly to make sure that we're on track, or do we have to change anything, and that's what we'll be doing in January again. So through the strategic planning, that's how council sets their budget. By looking at the strategic planning document, council puts the money behind what they want to see and how they want to see the community and their vision for the community. So under the MGA, council must annually set a budget. They must adopt both an operation and a capital budget. Any questions on the council piece?
Just one question, or not a question, but a statement,
Yes.
if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
Chair, just be you.
I have no idea, to tell you the truth.
Lauren is, yeah.
But anyway, what I was trying to say is, you know, you pointed out on the, how many of these things is council's decision or whatever. Council only can make a right decision if we get the right information. You know, because, let's face it, we're elected as council, but we're not as knowledgeable as what we, us, the staff we hire, and that's one of the reasons we hired them for. And so we're very, you know, depending on that we get the right information fed to us and to act on. And that's simply that.
That's a really good point. There is something coming up in one of these slides about that too. So the Chief Administrative Officer is the sole employee of County Council. Here at the county, underneath the CAO is the Executive Assistant, Director of Community Services, Director of Corporate Services, and Director of Municipal Services. What are the CAO's responsibility? The CAO is the administrative head of the municipality and ensures that the policies and programs that council put in place are implemented, advises and informs council on the operation and affairs of the municipality. The CAO is like an hourglass here, leads up as the principal advisor to council, leads down to staff, and also leads out. So there's 3 different areas that the CAO must encompass. CAO and council, so as Councillor Zeenstra said, the CAO is the principal advisor to council, and the CAO is there to make sure that the decisions, vision, and policies and the strategic plan are implemented. CAO and staff, the CAO is responsible for organizational leadership, and one of the most important things is setting the corporate culture. Human resources management, records management, financial oversight, planning and economic development, risk management and insurance, and information technology. So council and staff relationship is extremely important. That's how we get everything done. Council's responsibility is to govern and lead the community from the perspective of a locally elected politician. And to your point, Councillor Zeenstra, administration's role is to provide apolitical advice to council. And what that means is advice that there's no prejudice towards it. We are giving council the best information we can as professionals so that you can make the decisions that you need to make. Administration carries out the visions of council in an effective, efficient, and sensitive manner. CAO and the public. The CAO is responsible for public engagement, liaising with the general public, giving the public access to information, responsibility for delegations that come forward to council, responsible for transparency and accountability, also responsible when petitions come forward, and if they meet the criteria to come and present at a public meeting. And we're also responsible for the public participation policy, which we did put in place about 3 months ago, I believe. Questions?
Alright, so I know you guys all feel you're the best division, we're the best department. Most exciting anyway. So municipal services, welcome to the budget presentation. Just a general overview of the department. I'm Bacon, I'm the director of municipal services, and this is my department. I have 4 direct reports. I've got Terry Ostrom, Public Works and Fleet Services Supervisor. I got Gary Sechrist is the Supervisor of Agricultural Services. Craig Grass Utility Services, and Devin Teely was our newest department, created a couple of years ago as the supervisor of technical services. Public Works and Fleet Services, again, there's Terry, nice mugshot of. These are just a general overview of what they do. They're gonna come up and give you details. I'm just introducing them. So procurement, maintenance, and repair of the county's fleet. Summer and winter maintenance of the market access network, so that'd be all of our roads and bridges, and especially now the haul roads that are our flagship. Sanding, snow plowing, crack sealing, patching, bridge maintenance, and then again, the haul roads, grading, graveling, dust control, and road reconditioning. And road signage, traffic control devices, drainage, and culvert maintenance, and then a lot of other things. A lot of the complaints that come in are typically dealt with by Terry and his staff. Agriculture Services, again, there's Gary Seacrest. Here's a photo of him. They liaise with the Ag Services Board. They control restricted and or noxious weeds on public and private lands. They do roadside mowing and weed spraying programs. Water and soil quality, not the drinking water, which is coming up next, but those type of things. Utility services. Craig Gaskatch. There's a picture of him. Operation, maintenance, activities, and construction of water and wastewater systems. Regional solid waste facilities, and ensures the integrity of the county's water quality is maintained throughout the county's water distribution system. He's also our key contact with when we deal with the North and South Co-op, and deals with that contract we have with the South Co-op. So, and then there's Devin Teely. Looks angry. He's not.
Hey, lighten up.
Yeah.
They facilitate the design and construction of any new infrastructure we've got going on. They ensure new development compliance with the county standards, guidelines, policies, and or expectations. Ongoing maintenance of the digital geographic data. That's all the GIS stuff falls underneath Devin as well. And data management of all the county assets. So when they get into talking about asset management, that falls under the lead of Devin on the technical side anyway. Our mission statement is that municipal services will strive to achieve the highest degree of public service on safety, consistency, and efficiency as our key objectives. That's something that we live by and strive to achieve every day, every hour of our day. Our goals for 2019 is to continue to focus on accountability in all areas, continue implementation of long-range plans for roads and bridges, continue to encourage water co-ops to expand services to citizens that make requests, promote best agriculture practices and assist producers where we can, build on the efficiencies gained in road maintenance from the haul route program, continue and enhance the calcium stabilization for haul routes, continue stormwater management planning and drainage maintenance, continue efficiency and staffing level reviews to ensure best practices are utilized, and we're going to assist other departments, especially where efficiencies may be gained. You can see I've used the word continue in several of these. Over the last 3 years, we've implemented several programs that have brought us leaps and bounds ahead of where I feel we were at when I stepped through the door here. And I think continuing those programs is crucial to our success and focusing on the gains that we've made and improve on those successes. I think it's crucial right now to keep those wheels moving. Our key messages are that the department continues to evolve through empowered employees, training opportunities, technological advancements, and innovation. Continual reviews of efficiency while maintaining the highest level of service and accountability will pave the way for the municipality into future years. And by paving, that could be stabilizing the municipality into future years, but it's just a play on words. Operational enhancements in all divisions are being investigated and will be implemented. And staying the course and failing to challenge the status quo is no longer endurable. And that's what we've been living by the last 3 years with all of the new programs we've implemented and the changes we've made and where we're heading into the future. And that's the overview. Do you guys have any questions right now?
Lots?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just a question. Could we get those goals and stuff, that we get them printed on the side too, that we can?
Absolutely. I can have those for you in a few minutes or.
Thank you.
All good? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I would like to welcome you to the Ag Service Board budget presentation for 2019 to 2021. Our department mission, we will foster innovation in strengthening our agriculture foundation. We will also strive to enhance the quality of life in Lethbridge County by providing clean, safe, and attractive parks. Our ASB values. In ASB, we carry out our duties with Lethbridge County values in mind. So we are proud to work for Lethbridge County and of the services we provide. We are accountable and we deliver our services in a cost-effective and efficient manner. Our roles and responsibilities. These are the acts we administer. By performing these duties, we're giving the Ag Service Board grant. So currently that's $260,000. 91,000 of that is the environmental stream, and our cycle for the budget grant is up this year. We'll have to apply for new ones. Our legislative activities, we are to act as an advisory body and to assist council and minister in matters of mutual concern. We are to advise on and help organize and direct weed and pest control and soil and water conservation programs. We are to assist in the control of livestock disease under the Animal Health Act. We are to promote, enhance, and protect viable and sustainable agriculture with a view to improving the economic viability of the ag producer. We are also to promote and develop ag policies that meet the needs of the municipality, and this comes straight from the Ag Service Board Act. So this is our ASB structure. Currently we're a team of 12, and we'll meet all these folks as we move on through this presentation. This is me. I've been here 25 years. And I like it here. I try and create a work culture where everybody is happy and wants to come to work and also is productive. And I think that formula is working. We always get our work done, we get along, and our seasonal staff keep coming back year after year. We've had some very good employees and staff over the years, and lots of them still keep in touch. So how do we get our work done? It starts with the leaders. Kevin Brostick and Tim Caesar, very experienced, and both come with ag background. So it's that ag foundation that makes them a good fit for us. They create a very good image for ASB, and they are well respected in the Lethbridge County ag community. This is Derek Vance. He's the assistant ag fieldman trainee. Derek took over for Terry when he retired. We are very happy to have Derek on board. Over the next couple of years, we'll be training Derek up on all the things he needs to know And it's been a very intense learning curve for Derek thus far, and it's gonna continue to be. We've met some of these guys, but this is the seasonal staff and students. So across the top there, Derek again, Cam Campbell, Aaron Bradley, Tim Caesar. On the bottom, Dan Dorchak, Luke Lohman, Kyle Davies, Chase Lepard, and Matthew Wells. So moving on to our grant activities, spot spraying and roadside spraying. That's Aaron Bradley on the left. We're likely going to make Aaron a weed inspector to bridge the gap when Kevin retires. And we've also been training him up for the past few years, and he's done an exceptional job. On the right, that's an example of the roadside spraying we do, and Cam Campbell's our key go-to guy there. More grant activity on the left, that's we're releasing some leafy spurge beetles. That's for control of leafy spurge, of course. On the right, that's our pet rat Willard. A rat control inspections on rat sightings, that's all a function of the Ag Service Board as well. More grant activity in coordination with some of the South Region municipalities. We have a skunk trapper. He travels the south, he checks skunks and checks them for rabies when he catches them. We also loan out skunk traps as well. On the right, that is an example of poor soil conservation. And at times it is necessary to enforce some of these acts. Most are related to soil conservation and weed control. When enforcement is necessary, we do it with a firm but fair attitude, and it's really not all that fun sometimes. But we do have a job to do, and we take that enforcement very seriously. More Pest Act related duties. We sell some strychnine, 2,600 bottles this year. Whether we have strychnine in the future is questionable right now, as you guys know. On the right, that's Dwayne Rogness. He's doing a bacterial ring rot inspection on potatoes. Promoting our services, that's another thing we do. Here we are. This is the day we set up Rag Expo last year, and Terry retired shortly after this picture was taken. This is Dwayne Rogness. He's our rural extension specialist. He handles the environmental portion of our grant activity. Well, what does that entail? Dwayne's duties include, he's an elected member of the Old Man Watershed Council, specifically representing agriculture. Dwayne also helps producers with new CAP funding and as well as environmental farm plans. Other duties include coordinating watershed groups, organizer on the Tiffin Committee, hosting various workshops. He puts out a quarterly newsletter, and he's done an incredible job on the speaker committee for our annual in-service training, which is coming up next week. More Dwayne's activities, helping a producer put up a watering system, and on the right, that is a shelter belt workshop, was held this year at the McNally Community Hall. That specific workshop is always very well received. Now on to non-grant activities, we also perform all the roadside mowing in the county. It's one of our larger jobs. Hamlet subdivision maintenance as well. It's Kyle Davies on the left, on the right Matthew Wells. Matthew's using a land plane for weed control on a couple miles of pass we have at Mountain Meadows. So we use that land plane like a blade. It just cuts the weeds off at the roots. So we do that because there's lots of people that don't like chemical applications, so that's how we're keeping them happy. Parks and cemeteries. Kyle Davies and Luke Lohman, a couple of our new guys, they perform most of the work there this year. We maintain 11 parks and 4 cemeteries, as well as greater shop camps and our shops and water distribution sites as well. We take a lot of pride in our efforts in these areas, and these guys have done a very impressive job of keeping things up to our standards. Roadside seeding. Now that's one of our larger jobs for the last few years for sure. The rock picking, we had some help this year. The Public Works, they hired a young kid that did a tremendous job keeping ahead of the rocks, and that allowed us to do more of our key ASB jobs during the main part of our season. So in the past few years, our seeding has ranged from 60 to 80 miles, which is quite a lot. After everything is prepared, that's how we put the seed down with the hydro seeder. It does a good job. Another one of our jobs is working with community groups to get equipment placed in our parks. Here's some play equipment the Iron Springs Community Association, they installed in their local park. More of the things we do, we rent some brilliant drills out as well. We loan out skunk and magpie traps. So who makes up our ASB? Well, mostly rural people. Of our 12 staff, 10 have roots directly related to agriculture, and that's not by chance. These are the people that we seek out. Some of our guys still active as ranchers and farmers, as you can see in these pictures. That's Derek Mance trying to catch a steer there. And Cam Campbell on the right, still farming a little bit. I'm sure Cam's the guy in the tractor and grain cart, because there's no way his boss would let him on that big combine. Challenges and opportunities. Fulfilling our ASB grant obligation in a very diverse and intense agriculture setting. We are unique in Lethbridge County, very intense. Secondly, chemical weed control. Some people do not like chemical weed control. We had nearly 40 no spray agreements last year. When I started, we get 1 or maybe 2, so they're certainly increasing. As well, our aging workforce and employee retention. We're gonna have to reload with some more good employees. We've got some more guys nearing retirement. And we don't see this so much as a challenge as an opportunity, because when one of our guys retires, there's somebody waiting that has the experience to step up, just like Derek has in his role. Things to know about Lethbridge County ASB. As Lethbridge County Ag Service Board, we support the largest agriculture economy in the province. We find ways to retain our seasonal employees. We're finding a mix of people that have other jobs to do in the winter, and it's worked very well for us. As compared to other ASBs, our scope of work is large. We are consistently achieving our goals. We are getting the work done. And in ASB, we have a great culture. We think it shows up in our work. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll take any questions.
Steve?
Thank you. You mentioned the no spraying agreements. Is that past residents or past certain fields that people don't want spraying?
Both. I mean, most of them are quarter sections, but some people fill out for the quarter section just because they don't want spray in front of their yard. And we don't spray in front of yards anyway, so.
Okay.
Lots?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Animal Health Act that you were talking about, what does that all entail? Do you do enforcement on that, and which animals are all included in the Animal Health Act that you supervise?
That's one we hope we never have to deal with. It's like the tuberculosis or diseases like that show up. All we do is the province say what happens, and we're there to help. So if rabies were to happen, one thing we'd have to do is take out all the skunks in a 3-mile radius, things like that, or give them whichever level of government support.
But it's not that you're on farm and looking at how animals are treated and things like that?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
Scary.
Does anybody want to stand up, stretch, breathe, something?
It's too early for that.
Yeah, that's the one. So.
All right. Welcome to my presentation, Public Works 2019 Operating Budget Highlights. I don't think I need a speaker. I wore my hearing aids today too, just so you know. I'll be able to hear if you do have questions. So anyway, that's me up in the top there, the big cheese in this outfit, Terry Ostrom, supervisor. That's where the buck stops. I've got Ron Chapman assisting me as the supervisor of fleet, and Darren Gillies as the assistant supervisor of public works. Ron's got a couple mechanics that assist him and complete all the work in the fleet department. And Darren's got a number of foreman and lead hand positions that help us accomplish our work. So we do have seasonally about 50 staff. This slide that I presented here is showing our plan for next year. The graveling staff under Ron Spillman, the road recon staff under Todd, base stabilization staff under Mark, dust control, we have Chris. We'll see what happens this year with our lead hand positions. Grading, we have Barry as a lead hand in that area. And then we also put in we'll see maybe about 100 culverts this year, 200 culverts this year. We have a sign truck that's on the road. We've got a hi-ho that's out there. We do some bridge maintenance. We put in culvert markers. And we have a number of other opportunities and general work that is carried on by those staff. So that gives you an idea. If I wanted to go through everyone's picture, I'd need a little bit more time. So as I mentioned, we've got about 50 staff in the summer months, about 25 in the winter months. I'll refer you to the staff photo directory and that org chart to see a complete listing of the current PW staff. So once again, I'm the supervisor. Darren, Ron, and Perry is our foreman 3 of road recon and drainage. Ron Spillman, again, is the foreman of graveling. And those lead hand positions oversee dust control, grading, base stabilization, and road reconditioning. So a little reinforcement. Public Works is responsible for approximately 2,000 kilometers of roadway in the county, as well as 8 hamlets and all the designated infrastructure and related services that go along with that responsibility. Our mission is to provide the citizens of Lethbridge County the safest, most economical road network system possible through new road construction, application of aggregate material, improved drainage, frequency of grading, frequency of graveling, bridge maintenance and or replacement. We're here to provide leadership and operational excellence, recognizing that county employees are the foundation upon which these services are provided. PW Fleet Services provides a superior fleet and the best mechanical services to assist in making a positive and measurable difference in the skills, ability, and productivity of the internal customers that they serve. Our objective is to provide sustainable, well-maintained roads throughout the county, and our goal is to minimize the impact of the high road usage that we have on current infrastructure. We'll continue to investigate and experiment in the use of gravel base stabilization products to ensure roads are structurally sound to handle high load traffic. We'll continue to protect infrastructure by maintaining haul roads, overweighting permits for non-haul roads, and road use agreements. We'll ensure our maintenance standards are being followed so our roads are in the best possible condition to lessen the impact of traffic. Our core services, again, are gravel road maintenance, base stabilization, asphalt concrete product, and cold mix road maintenance, dust control, drainage, signs, bridges, right-of-way cleanup, general work, fleet maintenance, life cycle management, CBIPs on the trailers. We've got special projects, and safety is a core service. So under grading, we've, well, I'll save that, but what I've presented here are a few pictures of operations and you may have seen this before, but this is out of our 2013 grading manual, and what we're looking to do with our maintenance is get rid of that grass, get rid of that material on the edge of the roadway so that we've got a good crown and the water can shed off of that roadway. In road reconditioning and drainage, the idea is that we'll go in, and as you'll see in these pictures, we'll pull the shoulders in on that road, we'll rip the road up, we'll pull the shoulders in, we'll pack that all back down, we'll ensure that we've got a solid drainage and new culverts along that roadway. And some roads we're pulling every 2 to 3 years, some roads every 7 years. It depends on the traffic with the new haul routes and those base stabilized roads. That should keep us from having to pull those roads in. We got about $1 million a year in grant money that we use for road reconditioning, and about $250 that goes into drainage and culverts. Base stabilization. So we completed 80 miles of base stabilization this year. That meant that those roads had to be reconditioned before we went in to do it. So it was a pretty heavy load this year, but the guys pulled it off, and I mean all the guys from all the departments. And the fleet was there to keep keep that equipment running. So here's the train, here's some calcium on the road, here's some nice calcium dust blowing around, and there's what we're looking for, a consistent mix in that hand where you can squeeze that and you got the right amount of moisture. That's what makes the difference. ACP cold mix road maintenance. So once again here we're just showing, doing a little work on the abutment of a bridge, and then putting a patch in place on that, and then we'll do some spraying. PW fleet services, their core activities. Fleet maintenance will invest in the greatest asset that we have, that's our fleet services staff. Without highly qualified, competent and confident staff, fleet services will struggle to keep up with technology, troubleshooting ability, safety, and daily shop demands. They'll provide a safe environment in which to maintain Lethbridge County vehicles. They'll provide a safe fleet of vehicles with which the county can meet their operation objectives. They'll maintain a fleet of 170 pieces of equipment. They will schedule and budget for the replacement of Lethbridge County vehicles. They'll tender and purchase new or used vehicles as required. They'll perform seasonal switchover of vehicles, summer to winter, winter to summer. They'll evaluate and arrange for disposal of low-use, retired, or replaced vehicles. They locate and arrange for rental of additional vehicles as necessitated by our customers. And they will continue to recover at least 10% of unit costs through warranty recovery. PW Fleet keeps it rolling. They manage, they repair all our fleet assets. They procure those parts and supplies for the fleet and our customers. They manage the procurement of those assets. They manage the disposal of expired assets. They manage our fuel asset, which is, this is a big one, and manage the life cycle of our fleet assets. So Ron handles the costing for the replacement of those fleet assets, and they locate and arrange for that rental equipment, a little reinforcement as required, and that does happen. Our successes, we've had a few wins this year. Cameron Crossing we repaired and base stabilized. Thus controlled a large part of the county by June 30th this year. Assistant supervisors took a strong lead role in operations this year. I was gone for about a month right in the heat of things. Carried out a successful seasonal lead hand program that helped fill the gaps. And as Gary mentioned, we got some really good people we want to hang on to. We reduced the gravel requirements for base stabilization and grading efficiencies. We've reduced the divisional grader beats from 8 till 7. In the winter, we'll be running 8. Ron, Ian, and Colton, they kept the wheels on everything and fuels in our tank. So thanks to those guys. Challenges and opportunities. Dry, windy conditions continue to cause us grief and no moisture. That creates big challenges for our operations. We need water on the base stabilized roads. We felt the effects in base stabilization, dust control, and road reconditioning. Darren and Ron completed their first year in the challenging roles of supervising. We had more retirements in 2018, and we're looking at a couple more coming up in 2019. We ran one large dust control crew, and we're done residential dust control by June 30th. We will increase cross-training for field staff and carry out succession plans. We will continue to make changes to our operations, and over the next year, we will realize even more efficiency. Any questions?
Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Terry, like, you got, you guys take care of your fleet of
Yeah.
heavy trucks.
Right.
Who does the safeties on there?
Okay, so we do the safeties on those, that, seat belts on the vehicle, right? And so that's all in-house trained staff, right? So we do, all the inspections on the trailers as well. So, and that is something that, it's pretty heavy on the guys, and it takes some time, but they get that done and keep that. And that's a big thing, keeping that fleet safe. You know, and we've seen it more this year, than ever before, where highway patrol is out on the road pulling people over. I know I saw it myself a couple times where they had everybody pulled over, every truck on Highway 3 going in both directions, and they were putting a lot of trucks out of commission. So we had one incident a little earlier in the spring, and that prompted the guys on the operator end to ramp up their inspections. But as far as keeping those heavy equipment certified, that's something that the fleet accomplishes. And if they have to send it out, if it's something that they can't do, then they get it done in town.
So you guys can own your, issue your own safety stickers to put on the,
Yeah.
on the window, you can,
Yeah, we can do that, they're certified.
yeah, no, that's good, the only, I guess this fall, you guys had an incident, but one of the trucks to the DOT was, they were stopping the B trucks, but they also were stopping the county trucks, and I guess.
Yeah,
One of
absolutely.
the county trucks had
Yeah.
a air leak, I guess, and those things could happen.
Yeah, that happened, but so, and that, you know, so that's why the guys are made responsible doing their walk-arounds to
Yeah.
catch as much as they can. They can't always catch everything. Yeah, so, yeah, no, anyway, that's been working.
Good.
So Terry, you had mentioned a couple of things. You talked about investigating products to provide a better base stabilization. What were you meaning by that, and how do you propose to go about that?
Well, all I'm saying is we will continue to look at new products as they are presented. As far as dust control and base stabilization, there's hundreds of products on the market. We have the best application at this point in time for what we're doing with calcium base stabilized roads. That doesn't mean that we won't keep our eyes open and we won't maybe be testing other products that come along if they will, if we can get a better application down the road. But at this point in time, I know that we've got the best thing that we can have, but I'd be foolish if I didn't look at new products that come along and keep our eyes open for things that are happening out there that could even benefit what we have even better, right? So I know we've got a few challenges and we're addressing those. And as I mentioned in my presentation, moisture is a problem, so we've got to keep watering the roads. Maybe there's something we can add to those existing base stabilized roads that may limit the requirement for the water. But unless we're looking and keeping our eyes and ears open, we won't come across that. So That's what I'm getting at here. We'll continue to do trials. I get guys phoning me all the time. I say, you got a product you think is good or better than what we're using? Bring it down and we'll throw it on a little test section of road and we'll see how it stands up. That way, it even gives us a better, you know, we can say, oh, that looks good, but in the big picture, here's how what we're doing is holding up. So that's what we've done so far as we go along. We're not just gonna put our head in the sand.
Okay, Rick?
Just one example is, you guys are all familiar with, we took you out there to have a look, on 12-0 to the west lot. We were noticing those turning movements were creating some damage on the calcium roads, and you guys all saw it the first year, then we did some calcium there. The next repair, we just, very minor change, we sprayed some mag chloride on there instead of calcium chloride. Very similar products, just the mag chloride is a little bit more robust, and it seems to have held up a little bit better for a longer period of time on those turning movements. So we didn't have to go to that extent on the full length of the road, but maybe short little sections need something a little bit more, where there's gonna be lots of turning or acceleration and deceleration. That's the type of thing that we're talking about there.
So, and we wouldn't use that mag gets really hard and then you can't really work with it or do anything, but in those situations, it'll hold up right there in front with all that heavy turning with those big knobby tires. So, thanks, Rick. That's exactly what we're talking about.
So then you said one other thing, actually two more questions I have for you, but you talked about watering the existing base stabilization roads. So is that something you're gonna have to do on a regular basis?
I think part of our maintenance, depending on the weather, will be to water those roads, to add some water to those roads. But we will keep, you know, we'll keep within the budget that we've got for maintenance. We'll see. Our issue in southern Alberta is weather is highly volatile, so we don't know what we're gonna get, when what we want is some moisture. Of course, you know, growing up here, well, 40 years ago, it was more a desert time, and we might get some snow. And we're back to that now, so we're seeing it. We've had some really dry years. Maybe we're gonna get a wet one this year, but we'll be prepared. We've got the water trucks, we've got access to the water, and we'll monitor it and water it.
Rick?
Yeah, so, when we went down, when Devin and I went down to Wyoming and Montana, a lot of our discussion with those guys was about water and watering and maintenance of the roads, because that's why we went down there, was to find out what their maintenance was on those roads. And in those states, they are not allowed to water the roads. So they do things like calcium addition to those roads every year. I think we're gonna be somewhere in the middle. That's why we developed that 6-year maintenance program, is we're gonna be trying to keep the moisture content at the right level so that we're maximizing the value of every drop of calcium that we put in those roads. They waste a lot of calcium because it dusts off or whatever, it's not getting the moisture that it needs, but they have to keep increasing to keep the road in that state. We're continually monitoring. I think we've got way more advanced staff and technologies that we're using to monitor the roads down there. It felt like we were going back 20 years in some of the technology that they're using. Even their equipment and stuff is dated. So we're working on that, and it's something that we're going to strive to get the peak of the efficiency graph on the calcium roads. Do you have anything to add to that, Devin?
So one other question then, you talked about going from 8 grader beats to 7.
Yes.
One of the things that we did promise everybody when we started this program was to provide a little better service on those roads that weren't heavy haul roads. So if you're dropping from 8 to 7, how do you plan on doing that?
Well, okay, so in the winter, we'll be running 8 because of plowing. I think you may agree that we were faced with probably needing 8 graders out there plowing plowing in the winter. We've seen that, of course, with the big dumps here in the last couple, and then all that dry weather. Can you repeat that again, Lauren?
Well, when we first started this program, or
Right.
went out to sell it,
Okay, sorry, yeah, I got you. Yeah, how are we gonna provide that service? Well, I think the point is that now that we've got our base stabilized haul routes in place, that will take the heat off, and the way that we set these new divisions up, we believe it's a little fairer for the guys to be able to accomplish and provide that service within those divisions the way that we partitioned them up. And that's going by experience, so that they won't have to be out grading the haul routes in their division. And except in the southernmost part of the county, there's a lot of haul routes, and the rest of it, not so many down there. But that will allow them, since they don't have to go work that heavy use road that they were grading all the time, they'll be able to spend the time now throughout the rest of their division paying a little attention to roads that didn't quite get that attention because they were spending it on a heavy use road that's now base stabilized haul route. That's our plan. Right, so the guys are all aware of that, you know, they know where they don't have to spend the time now, and they know that they can give the attention where it's required.
so you said we would have 8 beats out for snow plowing,
Yeah,
but we bought 2 side wings to make the number 9, did we not?
well, okay. That's nine graders available. I believe that the one of those graders doesn't have a wing, that's the old one in Coaldale. So, we always wanna have a spare grader around in case one of those other graders is down. So that, we have a grader and it's used to run around and do small jobs. It's an older, small grader, but they will keep that grader so that we always have one for backup. And that's, again, if we get in a real tight situation, that's where Ron's job and fleet is to have a handle on where we can get a grader if we need a grader.
Okay, Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, it was a question about the extra maintenance we are doing on the haul roads for what we basically were to believe that there was gonna be not as much maintenance as what we actually doing, so that means that we're doing more maintenance.
Right, so, well.
Of course, I have an answer for it, and I just don't look at it. It's like way too much heavy traffic, and it shouldn't be by. But, so that is obvious, you know, we do need more maintenance than what we anticipated. And the other one is, when we do some road conditioning, that is great, but it seems to be, you know, like the first year, especially if you're gonna get some wet weather down there, it's pretty hectic for the people that live right there and trying to get to use that road. It's almost impassable if you get a little bit of rain. So what I was looking at, you know, maybe should notify these people that live down there when we do recondition one of these roads and make them aware of what could happen. And anyways, and there's the odd one that has been saying, well, about a year later, it's a great road. But the other ones, they still remember how bad it was when we reconditioned it, and they don't want to acknowledge, say, it is a bad road now. So we gotta step up to the plate to, you know, inform them a little better than what could happen. That's my feelings.
Yes, I hear you. So that's an education and information piece. And Todd, the lead hand of the road reconditioning crew, he had made it his job to talk to people along the roadways as they do it, so. And those guys are pretty open to talk to residents and to knock on doors, and especially if they can see that they have a manicured ditch, they're gonna talk to them, because you gotta tell them we're gonna tear that ditch up. In not every case do we do it, we'll leave it if we don't need to do it. But I think, yes, Morris, that's an education piece for the public. Since I've been here, we've endeavored to educate those people along the roadway and to prepare them, but when they get up and they go out and they got a new pulled up road with a little skip of gravel on it and it's muddy, they forget sometimes that anybody might even talk to them. And as far as, I'll just finish with looking at the maintenance. I mean, we're a few years into a program, we've got some volatile weather here happening. And I think as we go forward here, another year or two, then we'll really see where we end up with on maintenance. But anything it's like you guys have chartered, we have chartered new territory, we're doing something world-class here. I'm not hearing, I don't get the phone calls where anybody's complaining about those heavy haul roads. Truck drivers, like, they're happy. They're humming down those things at 100 kilometers an hour. They're doing what they want to do. So, you know, I think, yeah, we've got some technical issues, but we'll work that out as we go along.
Just on the communication side, we did have a few complaints late season from some residents in Roberts Division. We had that snowfall, it was like October 1st or 2nd or something, right when we were in the middle of reconditioning, or had just finished the road, so it was still quite soft. So Matty is developing a sheet for Todd to carry around. So he'll go door to door before they start the project, either Todd or Perry. What happens is, though, if they're not home or they don't answer the door, then they just keep going and hope that the guy's gonna come and see them, because it's not something they can spend all this time on. But with this pamphlet, they'll leave it in the door and have phone numbers and all the information that you're talking about, what to expect, how long they're to expect. The whole thing that I talk about all the time, the perception of where the edge of the road is and those type of things, the narrowing of the road, why we do that. And it's not narrowing from design, it's narrowing from what it was a week ago. So they notice that difference, but they don't notice how, like you said, how the road was 5 years ago or before the reconditioning, how poor shape it was. So we're gonna do a little one-pager just to stick in the door so that they'll get that. And I found that in my past, that's very effective to have that. If they have a piece of paper, they can actually physically read. Even if they're talking to the guy, they might not ask all the questions, and if he hands them the paper, here you go, this explains everything. So Matty is working on that, and we're planning on having that ready to go for next year's reconditioning season.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, out in the field, when you're talking to people, a lot of people mention that too, that the trucks that have to turn so sharp, we just mentioned that. Would it be a benefit to widen the driveways a little bit so that you wouldn't, because when they're turning, they're doing the damage on the road itself? So would it help if we had a little wider driveway that they would ease on there a little bit easier than that they have to turn that sharp to have less damage on the roads?
Well,
and I'm talking about the base stabilization, of course.
Yeah. Well, we have a standard there for the approach, so most of those approaches would be within the standard. So you're just saying that it's too sharp a turn, that there is not an actual wing on the approach. See, that could be some individual cases, but I have not, I don't know if anybody, I've had no complaints about that myself.
And I do realize that we got standards for that, but
Yeah.
I mean, standards are there to change and to look at. Maybe that we have to look at it again and say, hey, this is such a heavy traffic area here, or from a sort of circuit yard or anything, or on a different road, that that we maybe should widen it a little bit?
That's something we could look at, see what the, if there's, you know, what the cost effectiveness would be, or if it's a safety issue, but that's something.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
You gotta go upset every time, you gotta make sure look at the right face.
It's too safe here. My fault.
She's the conductor today.
All right, good morning, council. I'm here to give you a brief overview of the Technical Services Department. So the department consists of myself as the Technical Services Supervisor. We have Mike Blythe, who's our GIS and Asset Coordinator. Scott Tallstruck, who is our Project Technologist. Cole Bodnar, who is our Infrastructure and Asset Tech. And Patty Moyer, who is our Seasonal Traffic Counter. So there's some photos of the individuals within the department. There's myself. I provide technical support to other departments, as well as managing capital projects, utility approvals, and all other engineering-related projects. Mike, he maintains our GIS system, and he is the lead on developing our asset management system. Scott provides office and field support by managing the traffic count program, closed and leased right-of-ways, and survey support for field staff such as road reconditioning, base stabilization, dust control, things like that. Cole, he shortly will be responsible for the inspection of the county's bridges. He's in the final stages of obtaining his Class B bridge inspector license, so he'll have that for the spring of next year. And he's also assisting Mike in the development of the asset management system. And then we have Patty, who provides traffic counts for the department. So the department's mission, the Technical Services Department will ensure that county capital projects are identified, engineered, and constructed in a way that aligns with the county's strategic plan and provide proper management of the county's digital, geographic, and asset data so that staff, council, and residents are provided with current and accurate information. Our alignment with the strategic plan, growth and development are strategically managed within the county, continue to implement the 35-year market access network plan. The county has a sustainable plan for gravel resources to meet the county's needs. The county has developed a plan to ensure a suitable drainage program. Services are in place for commercial and industrial purposes, and regional plans are in place. Our core services, the big one is capital project management, and we have utility approvals, subdivision and development review, the GIS system, asset management, surveying, traffic counts, closed and licensed right-of-way management, and building facilities maintenance. So that first core service, capital project management, it is the department's responsibility to procure, oversee, and facilitate the design and construction of infrastructure throughout the county. So a few project examples there. We've got the Monarch Reservoir and Pump Station on the very left. We've got Range Road 19-5 reconstruction. That's also base stabilized. We have the Kehoe Lake Bridge File project replacement and Park Lake Road paving. All of these projects you've seen on the council road tour. Next is development review and utility approvals. So it's the department's responsibility to review developments to ensure compliance with county standards. Reviews and approvals of utility crossing applications are also included. So on the left, we've got an example of a engineered drawing for a pipeline crossing, and on the right, we've got a grading plan for a development west of the city. Next, we have our GIS system. This department is responsible for the ongoing maintenance and upgrades to the geographic information system. The system is an important resource for staff to utilize on a daily basis in order to perform tasks and to provide information to coworkers and citizens. And then we've got an example of a land ownership map, which all of you have in front of you. Next is asset management. This department is responsible for the development and implementation of the county's asset management program. Upon full implementation of the program, the county will have in place a formal asset management practices and a solid asset management plan to make strategic decisions regarding the rehabilitation or replacement of the assets that Lethbridge County owns, including buildings, underground utilities, roads, bridges, rights-of-way, and any other type of infrastructure. Next, we have our surveying and traffic counting. Many functions within the department depend on the collection of field data, which is obtained through conducting surveys for activities like road reconditioning, base stabilization, drainage, right-of-way violations, etc. Traffic counting is also conducted seasonally, which provides the department with the data required for grant applications and also to allow us to better understand traffic behavior. And we have closed and licensed right-of-way management. The management of the county's closed and licensed right-of-ways is handled within the Technical Services Department. Numerous requests are submitted by county citizens annually to license or close and purchase rights-of-way. These requests are processed by the department and presented to council for final approval. So some successes. In 2017, we have some completed projects such as the Kehoe Lake Bridge, Duncan Industrial Park paving, Roxburn Road, the southern portion, and the business park overlay, the picture view bathroom renovations, and the administration building brick repairs. In 2018, we have completed or to be completed projects, Range Road 20-5 paving, that's the one that leads to the Railside Business Park, the Monarch Reservoir and pump station replacement, Bridge File 79825, which is about a mile south of Milford. We stopped there on the council road tour as well. Bridge File 815 at the Tiffin Dairy, just southeast of Lethbridge. Malloy Phase 2A, which is nearing completion. Hall Route Base Stabilization, which is completed. Phase 1 of the Asset Management Program, the Administration Building Solar Project, and Shaughnessy Infrastructure Upgrades Phase 1. So some challenges and opportunities within the department. Some challenges, the ongoing implementation of the asset management system is it's a big undertaking. I know it's a lot of us have learned a lot through the stages of it, and we will continue to implement that system ongoing here within the next few years, granted council's approval for the next phases, of course. Prioritization of aging infrastructure that requires substantial capital investment is also a challenge. Again, an asset management system will greatly aid in that, which I have under opportunities. And another challenge, meeting federal and provincial requirements such as the MGA, Water Act, things like that. Opportunities, as I mentioned, once the asset management program is fully implemented, will greatly assist in the prioritization of major projects. Bridge file inspections now fall within the department, and further drainage basin studies will assist in planning projects to help mitigate flooding. And that is it for me. Is there any questions from council?
Morris? Yeah, thank you. That base inspection, so you said that's gonna be in-house now?
Yes.
So we're gonna be doing it as well. Before, we had a couple of different companies, private companies what came and did it for us.
Yeah, that's
So
correct.
in-house, is that gonna be cheaper or?
Yes, it will be, yeah. The past couple of years, we've had Bow Valley Bridge Services out of Cochrane complete our level 1 and level 2 assessments for us. And now we can do those level 1 assessments in-house. So that level 1 is a visual assessment of the bridge. They do a rating on it. If the inspector feels that it's rated low enough to warrant a level 2, then we have to get a level 2 inspection done. And that we will always need to contract out. That's your Class A license, and it's extremely difficult to get, and there's a handful of people in the province that actually have that. So the level 2s will still have to contract out, but all the level 1s, which are approximately 30 inspections a year, will be completed in-house.
What's Walker staff doing some of them?
They do complete inspections as well.
Well, right next door.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's another one that we've used.
And I
in the
thought
past.
you guys were saying when they were doing it, you know, for what they charged out, there's no way we can do it in-house, but now we are doing it in-house.
But the problem was they stopped doing them when we needed them done. They got too busy. So that's when we brought, I don't recall his name offhand, but we brought him in here to do that little.
Lawrence.
Yeah. Lawrence, anyway, we brought him in here and he did a little discussion with you guys, and then, we were about 8 months behind in our bridge inspections because they kept, oh yeah, we'll do them. And it was a very good rate, but if they're not getting done, then we leave ourselves vulnerable, so. The best next option was to have our own guy in-house that is also a guy who does a lot of other jobs for us, so in the fall, when those bridge inspections get done, is when he can ramp up and do all those inspections for us.
Any other questions? So I have two. We talked about GIS services. Due to the complexity of that, when it runs over other departments as well, because we use it a lot in planning, is it not cheaper to hire it out? Like, because we have a planner who does all our planning, so wouldn't it be more beneficial and more straightforward to the entire county to have the same service from the same person? Like, right now, we're having like, it's almost two separate items or entities do things. So is it not confusing? Wouldn't it be better just to hire one?
Are you referring to Oris doing some
Yes.
work for us as well? I'm not sure financially how it would look. I know Mike does spend a considerable amount of time maintaining and updating that system. I don't know what Oris would charge for that, but I would expect that it would be more efficient to do it in-house. But I don't have those numbers available to
Yes.
Go ahead, Morris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm on the ORS board right now, and that discussion did come up. There's a couple of municipalities, and the county is one of them down there, that they decided to go more in-house instead of with ORS. And ORS, and the guy who gave the presentation, I'm not sure if any of you guys were down there, but he explained it very well, and he said there's absolutely no way that any of them could do it cheaper than us. And they were pretty solid in that one. And I believed it when the person gave the presentation.
Rick?
As I said in our goals and our mission is that we will review efficiencies where and when we can. And absolutely that is one on our list, especially with the implementation of the asset management plan. Maybe that, some of that lower end data stuff can be subbed out or contracted out, but it's part of an efficiency plan that we have to look at as a whole, because we do have staff that have to fill certain roles, and they don't just do GIS, right? So if you get rid of the GIS, then what's that person, how are we gonna fill the rest of that gap? We have to do a review and a plan, and then we can figure out the rest of how we fill the gap.
And one other caution too is that I've heard from other CAOs and other municipalities that there was some concern that when ORS was doing GIS for them or mapping for them, that they didn't know, the municipality no longer owned the data was owned by ORS, and they ran into trouble. So that's something we would have to be cautious of as well. But I do agree, we need an overall plan before.
Terry?
Yeah, Ann hit on it, but I just wanted to stress that, having, been involved in GIS and pioneering it up north now for 20 years, we want to own our data. We want it in-house. We don't want to be on the hook to a contractor. Yes, we can use a contractor, but we need that expertise and we need that system in-house, so we have that information at our fingertips across the organization. So there may be good outfits there, but those guys will be building a new house and flying down south on our dollar, because that's what contractors are there to do if we don't build the intelligence inside so that we know what we're getting.
Morris?
That mapping that was also discussed at the ORS level down there, and there is certain communities, they don't even belong to ORS, and they decided to get ORS to do the mapping for them because they couldn't find no other firm what could be as cheap as what they are. When you talk about the mapping, unbelievable up to date, and once they do that mapping for you, that mapping is like our if they do it for you. It's available to you and everything else, so I think we need to, on that end of it, I think we need to sit down and see, you know, if we maybe, it's nice to have, that it looks that we're doing it in-house, but I'm not 100% sure if that's the department that we should be doing in-house, because for what I've been told on that, and let's face it, the Oris is basically was formed because of the situation. And the situation one time was there that these private contractors, they were worse than lawyers. They were choking the municipalities for whatever they felt like, and it was worse. And that's how Oris basically came about, to be more cost effective and efficient. And they are.
Yeah, just, those type of programs are great, and they do benefit the majority in most cases, but when you look at things like RMA and the fuel, none of the southern municipalities deal with their fuel program, because it doesn't make sense in the south, where we have that increase in fuel delivery cost. So it doesn't make sense. We gain by contracting that out ourselves versus going through RMA on the fuel side. So you have to look at each individual program on its own merit. And with Orsk, yes, it's something that we will definitely look at for GIS. We use them for all of our planning and development consulting, so it may make a lot of sense and have that continuity, but we have to review it and come up with a solid plan, because it has to fit our organization and their model.
You know, if I may have interest,
By all means.
you know, like, I think, you know, if you RMA on the fuel end, go down there and invite an Orange, you know, that is absolutely no comparison, you know, like, that's just like apples and oranges, you know, no comparison. But anyways, the other one is on the planning end of it, we did hire an extra person here, when was it, 2 years ago?
About a year.
And the way I feel about Oris, you know, like they could have done easily that extra work, you know, and I know for some of the charges what Oris does here, you know, but we probably got to pay the extra person. That absolutely don't make sense to me, but that's maybe something we should be looking at very hard too. And that's not my opinion, that is my fact, and that is a fact.
So my next question is on asset management. Well, what kind of money have you got in the software?
I don't know, I'd have to look it up.
Or we put it in the parking lot? In the parking lot?
Jen will start one.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Do you want a break for a few minutes?
Yes, my blood pressure's up.
I can see it's going right to the top of that white hair. Oh!
Thanks.